Okay, I got here late. We're all panicked. It's going to be 3 minutes, so there's very little time to talk, but let's try to figure out what's happened so far. My guess is Cliffy started with 8755 in 7, but that seems unlikely. So now my guess is Cliffy started with 5758 in 4, Turdz took safely from 1, and Cliffy took back in 7. This move order makes more sense, because if Cliffy started in 7, then it makes a lot of sense that Turdz would capture from 8. I think Cliffy's 1A88 is probably not a great choice for this set. Without Same Wall, the 8-8 part does not reliably take 8s. On the other hand, each card in Turd's hand except his level 10 only has 1-8 on it. So there is a decent chance it actually does sweep relative numbers, right? The only thing its power trio can't take in Turd's hand is the 8476 is 8 facing up, and the 6864 is 8 to the left on the board. Right, Turdz goes for the L. Is there any combo play back against Silver Dragon in 5? This looks very dangerous for Cliffy because he is low on left power. And he does not have an appealing way to block 5 with all those 8s facing down, right? Any card he puts in 5, Turdz very likely has 7, 6, 4, 8 in 8. And those positions are really unlikely to hold because your 5785 and 4785, very redundant cards, have no ability to recapture each other or do anything to the left. So my instinct is Cliffy cannot go 5. Can he go 3 such that he controls 5? Such that he stops Silver Dragon landing in 5? I don't think so. And another problem with that is anything he puts in 3, Silver Dragon goes in 5, and not only does it land well in 5, it sets up Vayne in 6. If Cliffy blocks 6, if he does not capture, then I guess Plus Wall is on, so he controls Yuna's A. So maybe you can hold with something like one of the level 7s in 3, Silver Dragon 5, the other level 7 in 6. That does look like a way to hold. So if he goes 3, I think Turdz needs to find something different than Silver Dragon 5 if he wants to win this game. One option is Yuna in 5, but I think if you don't have the lead, Cliffy will always be able to play 6 and have a Jekt sweep. He does go 3, but he takes Jekt out of his hand. This, I don't think, can possibly be right. Yeah, I think Silver Dragon 5 just wins. I think he had to play one of the level 7s in 3. Sorry, I didn't catch more of this game. Again, these go so quick. I was going to try to comment on Turd's hand. But it's a little far out to do so. Yeah, I mean, this just seems comfortable now. I mean, we missed the bulk of the game, which was the first few moves. But against a starter like 4, which I have to assume was the starter, there's an interesting choice between going in 1 or 7. But it really depends on which L you want. And what I think happened was Turdz identified the only L where he had a good threat in 5 was playing Gigas in 2. So he started in 1 to set that up in the future. Yeah, he's picked up Silver Dragon. This is not a position that takes a ton of thought. So I think he doesn't have to use all 3 minutes here. And once you find the win, you should, double check it and make the move. You don't need to find a better win. Right, the key point is anything in 6 doesn't capture, so you have Yuna in 8, and that will be safe, and you win 6-4. Anything in 8, you have Vayne in 6, and that locks everything it touches in, so you win. And so you really only have to check 9, right? And there's nothing that can land in 9 that creates a threat in 6. So the check is very quick, because if they can't take from 6, then you're going to win this game 6-4. So congrats to Turdz, who I will be playing in the finals. I think Turdz has been playing awesome of recent, and it should be a really good finals. I don't have a ton else to say here. I thought Cliffy played pretty well so far, but I think this starter and this hand are pretty clunky, right? If you look at it, right, it has these two corners for 1, a very similar card for 7, and sometimes similar cards play well off each other, but in this case, they don't connect at all. They're just unable to recapture each other. 8-7-5-5 and 5-7-8-5 are not a good combination. They can't play off the 5s much. It's really uncomfortable. Then 5-7-5-8 should be able to plus wall both with the 5-8 part, never cleanly, but still 7s are a little harder to plus wall than 8s, so you're less likely to be comboed back. But you're just really relying on that to do so much work, right? Because it's the, unless you're using Jekt early, which ideally you want to keep Jekt as a sweeper, and it would have been a good sweeper here, right? Unless I calculated wrong, Cliffy had better play in 3 with one of the other cards than with Jekt. Now maybe Turdz had something there in 8 or 9 or something, but it looked pretty promising. There's a decent chance that held the tie. So, given how good Jekt is as a sweeper, specifically against this Yuna, right? Jekt covers this Yuna's directions. I will note both winners of the semifinals used Yuna. He does go 9. The attempt to do something. I think this loses to literally every move, though. Is that true? Yeah, I think this loses to every move. So maybe not actually the greatest try. And Turdz wins 6-4. Yeah, congrats to Turdz, who's been playing great, and I think really deserves to be in this finals. We have never played in a finals before. We have played in one tournament before. It was, I guess, the last Triad Wars 14, the semifinals. It was a quite interesting game. I thought I was in trouble, and I thought I found basically the only tie on move 4. And it turns out there was another couple ties, but it was the only tie I found. So I found a tie. It was quite scary, but I thought it held. And then he had a choice between a bunch of squares, and he chose a slightly odd move in 5 that happened to lose. But it was a pretty scary game for both of us. Yeah. Congrats to Turdz, and also a lot of effort to get the game done, to get it played. Nicely played. Yeah, so I wanted to say this starter in 4 doesn't make a lot of sense to me because you're really reliant on the 5-7-5-8 for leftward power, and using it early while directing the game to the left seems just such a large concession to me. If you're going to have these 2 corners for 1, maybe you just chuck 1 and 9 to start, like 4, 7, 8, 5, and 9 might have been a better starter. On the other hand, I do think he had a tie on move 5, so maybe not as bad as I thought, but required some precision and Jekt to line up really well as a sweeper, which it did. And then was used too early. Alright, we'll call it there.